friends. Welcome to the Wabi Sabi podcast. This is episode number 171. I hope you enjoyed episode 170, one of my favorite episodes of all time with Chef Cynthia Sestito. It is true that Cynthia and I cooked for Jay-Z and Beyonce for many years, her far longer than I. It was a great learning curve and good experience. And since it was so long ago, it's nice to sort of take a look back and see how far her and I have come since that time in our lives. Today, we will talk about how I know what you need to get to the next level, and I know what you need to do in order to progress, and that is the practice of letting go. A lot of times, we just don't want to let go of the life that we have at this moment, of things that we have become successful or good at, or even the partners that you've chosen in life, or the friends or accolades or colleagues that you want to be around. These are things that bring us comfort. And sometimes when you are too comfortable, you remain really stagnant. And the fall is a really good time for you to shift the energy in your life so that we know where we're going. Take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. There is a spiritual figure in Hinduism that I love called Ganesh. And Ganesh is the elephant with its right hand raised. And he is actually a man with an elephant's head. Very good story behind it. He's the remover of obstacles in our life. I often sometimes keep a picture or a little figure of Ganesh on my dresser so that I can look at him every day and remember that I too can remove obstacles in my life, and you can too. A lot of it has to do with letting go, shifting thoughts, and letting go of old patterns that just don't serve us anymore. I know that you have a lot of self-doubt and fear, and the fear of failure, and that things haven't always gone your way, but you're going to be able to move through these things. As Dr. Wayne Dyer says, you can't look at the wake. You have to look forward. Otherwise, you're going to keep living in the past. I also think of what could be holding a lot of us back sometimes is having a justified resentment, right? Like you have angst or anger towards a certain person or group of people or individuals or the way society has changed. And as we're talking about change and letting go today, I want to remind you what Dr. Wayne Dyer says about justified resentments. Here's a little bit in his book, 21 Days to Finding Success and Inner Peace. Dame number 13 on page 87 states, there are no justified resentments. You hear people say this all the time. I have a right to be upset because of the way I've been treated. I have a right to be angry, hurt, depressed, sad, and resentful. Learning to avoid this kind of thinking is one of my top recommendations for living a life of inner peace, success, and happiness. So AKA on this pod, side note, letting go. And back to what Dr. Wayne Dyer says. Anytime you're filled with resentment, you're turning the controls of your emotional life over to others to manipulate. Today's topic is taking responsibility for everything, and I mean everything, in your life. I became aware of how powerful this lesson was many years ago while sitting in a meeting of 12 people who were in a recovery group for alcoholism and drug addiction. All 12 of those people were accustomed to blaming others for their weaknesses, using almost any excuse as a rationale for returning to their self-defeating ways. Oh my God, and just thinking of that, it hurts. I'm talking now me, Candace, just saying that it's so painful. I can feel in his writing because the storytelling is so good. On a poster hanging in the room were these words, in this group, there are no justified resentments. Regardless of what anybody would say to one another or a group member, no matter how confrontational or ugly the accusations, each person was reminded that there are no justified resentments. You may need to consider whom you resent, before you can make your own choice about whether this is useful for you. Resentments give you an excuse to return to your old ways, and this is what got you there in the first place. He goes on to say why resentments are there. You may be familiar with a popular TV show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? If the contestant correctly answered 15 multiple choice questions, he or she would win $1 million. Starting with 100, the person would be in the hot seat. They would answer 5 questions before reaching the $1,000 level. At this point, the person is guaranteed to leave with something. The questions increase in difficulty and the contestant reaches $32,000 again. There is a guarantee of leaving with that amount. So there are 2 crucial levels to attain. The $1,000 level, which is achieved by answering 5 relatively simple questions, and the $32,000 level, which involves 5 increasingly difficult questions. I've just related details about this TV program to present an idea of the 2 levels that you must achieve in order to have a chance at the highest, quote, $1 million, unquote, level of awareness. The $1,000 level is where you learn to leave the blame behind in your life. If you don't do so, you go home with nothing. Removing blame means never assigning any responsibility to anyone for what you're experiencing. It means that while you're willing to say, I may not understand why I feel this way, why I have this illness, and why I've been victimized, or why I had this accident, but I'm willing to say without any guilt or resentment that I own it, I live with it, and I'm responsible for having it in my life. Why do this? If you take responsibility for having it, then at least you have a chance to take responsibility for moving it or learning from it. If you're in some small, perhaps unknown way responsible for that migraine headache or that depressed feeling, then you can go to work to remove it or discover what its message is for you. If, on the other hand, someone or something else is responsible in your mind, then of course you'll have to wait until they change for you to get better. And that is unlikely to occur. So the $1,000 level, blame has to go. Otherwise, you'll go home with nothing and are unable to participate in the higher levels. You must be willing to pass a new test at the second critical level. The $32,000 question, which is the final obstacle you must face in order to move into the more exalted realm of self-actualization and higher consciousness, the $1 million spiritual level. At this level, you must be willing to send the higher, faster energies of love, peace, joy, forgiveness, and kindness as your response to whatever comes your way. This is the start of the uncrowded extra mile where you only have love to give away. Someone says something to you that you find disagreeable, and rather than opting from resentment, you are able to depersonalize what you've just heard and respond with kindness. You would rather be kind than right. You have no need to make others wrong or to retaliate when you've been wronged. You do this for yourself. There is a Chinese proverb, he goes on to say, if you're going to pursue revenge, you better dig 2 graves. Your resentments will only destroy you. They are low energies. And along the extra mile, you'll only meet others who have fully grasped this concept. The ones who haven't made it back to this level are all back with the crowd that went out of the game a long ago on the easier question, and they're still back there wondering, why do I keep going home with nothing? But I can assure you that they continue to blame others for their emptiness. First, you have to get past blame, and you have to learn to send love to all rather than anger and resentment. The story is told of the enlightened master who responded to outbursts of criticism, judgment. Oh, does this sound familiar? Ridicule. He switched that to love, kindness, and peace. One of his devotees asked him how he could possibly be so kind and peaceful in the face of such disparaging incentive. His response to the devotee was this question: if someone offers you a gift, do not accept the gift. To whom does the gift belong? Ask yourself, why would I allow something that belongs to someone else to be a source of my resentment? As the popular book title says, what you think of me is none of my business. Indeed, there are no justified resentments if you wish to walk along the extra mile and enjoy inner peace and success on every step of the path. End quote. And I bring this up to you because Dr. Wayne Dyer has this magic and the ability to speak words of wisdom that are really timeless. It doesn't matter if he wrote the book 20, 30, or 40, or 50 years ago. It matters that this timeless wisdom is available to us at any time. And most of the time when you're ready to let go of the things that you're holding on to. In our modern day era of social media, I find that a lot of times that we have a lot of self-doubt. Even those of us who are seasoned professionals in our field have self-doubt. Our confidence is busted up. We think that we're no longer edgy and cool like we once were. We're comparing to others. We feel defeated in so many ways. And while these things are repeated to us through our what we call monkey mind constantly, they're not true. Most and almost all of your thoughts are not true. And I know you do deep thinking, analytical thinking, and anxiety-laden thinking all day, because I do it too. But it's not who you are, and none of it is true. So if you can tell that roommate that's taking up all that space in your brain to please be quiet and quiet that part of your mind, you can come to the realization of growth through aging and having a little bit more wisdom, clarity, peace, kindness, empathy, compassion in your heart. It's free and it feels really good. And it's a way for you to let go of your past this fall. I think it's important for you to really shift on that change and remember that I know what you're going through, because I go through it too every day, every week, every month, every year. I have so much self-doubt that I forget that a lot of the things that I came into the industry at 22 on Top Chef in 2026, I came into this world with very different rules in media, publishing, journalism, and TV, now streaming. There was no social media when I got into this industry, and there were no influencers, and the game was very different. And therefore, over the last few years, I suffered if I didn't learn how to conform and sort of mold my way into the new era. And I think that you might have to do the same thing. It's painful. It's not hard. It's scary. It's triggering. And at times it can seem overwhelming, like it's never going to end. But really, it's up to you to find the piece of clarity in your mind and to be the change that your own mind and body wish to see. I didn't want to be so hard on myself anymore because there were a lot of things I compartmentalized from being a teen to being a young public figure in my 20s. I began as a TV host at 25 at Home Shopping Network, and I still, just last week, revitalized working with Miranda, my friend at Core Organics and QVC, kind of returning to my roots of live TV and shop TV. And I found it to be another really awakening full circle moment. Sometimes you can pioneer spaces like I did in social media and wellness and realize that you were part of the beast. You created this monster and now you have to clean it up. It's a responsibility that I take on and I bear. As Dr. Wayne Dyer said, I can no longer hold resentments in this industry because I'm the one who takes responsibility for it. I grow, I learn, and I want you to do the same in looking back at the things that might be holding you back from getting to that next level. I used to think that I operated at a really high level and I belonged in the upper echelon of society simply because I had worked for decades to get to where I am today. And that's not true. I sit back in an easy chair on my bed in Greenpoint, and I just sort of think to myself, the highest upper echelon that you could actually achieve, Candace, is free, and it's called inner peace. And it is something that I have sought out for years, sometimes never even knowing that was all that I needed, wanted, or wished for. When you get to this point in your life where you realize the goals and desires of a large bank account with a lot of zeros, or things like yachts or apartments or condos or private planes, they're really nice, but they're not what matter. It's hard sometimes, especially as a New Yorker, to come to this realization. But it's okay, because I feel like a lot of like the Buddhist wisdom that I carry in my heart, and also the really important things that my father has taught me, these things will help along the way to fill your cup of inner peace and gratitude in finding that change is actually really good. And when Martha Stewart says things like, if you're not going to change, you're through, you have to remember that she's only where she is in her 80s because she was malleable to change from the very beginning. These are things that you must take note on now, especially if you're suffering. So if you need help in making these changes, 21 Days to Finding Success and Inner Peace is a great book by Dr. Wayne Dyer. 21 days is typically the amount of time that it takes to create change in your life or to create a habit. So 21 Days to Find Success and Inner Peace by Dr. Wayne Dyer. The subtitle says Living with Gratitude, Connecting to Spirit, and Finding Purpose, Strength, and Joy. And it's sort of just what I needed in this time of change. Whether it's the weather or your skin. Oh my God, my skin is so dry. Or it's just, learning to like set boundaries with people, or the constant incessant noise in your brain, or the depression or the anxiety you have, like you want to work on it, maybe getting a new therapist, maybe making decisions like going to the gym, eating better, drinking a lot of water. These are things that are really basic but necessary, and they need to be prioritized in the functions of changing through your life. So if you can remember, the monkey mind has a lot of chatter and the roommate in your head. So tell the monkey and the roommate to be quiet. Don't let them take up so much real estate in your head. Tell yourself that the things that you're telling yourself are not true and to be quiet. If you want to know about that second voice in your brain, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle will come to you, and it will make sense to you when you're ready. If you are not quite there yet, if you read it, you're going to be really confused. Like the first time I read it, I was on a train going somewhere in Japan, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And it didn't make any sense to me until I read it in 2019. And I was like, oh, okay, I get this now. I just read it too young. A lot of times, it's like picking fruit off the tree. If it's just not ripe, it's not going to be ready yet. So give yourself time. Give yourself time to be gentle. Know that I'm in my early 40s, and if you're in your 20s, you have plenty of time to make these things happen. Although it does really help to have an older mentor in your life, like I did with Cynthia or Rona T. San or James Higa. These people are much older and much wiser than me, and I only want to emulate myself around people that I find to be very impressive and awesome. Keep going, you guys. You've got this. Don't forget to sign up for my newsletter. It's on my website, CandiceKumai.com. You can give this beautiful podcast a 5-star review with a little note, and also on Apple and Spotify. Check out my latest posts with my friend Miranda Kerr. We go to QVC together because I am preparing to help her be her guest for Core Organics at QVC, which is very exciting. And we have gone through months and months of training and hard work, and meetings. And I just want to let you know that even though you see us on TV for minutes at a time, the preparation behind these types of shoots is tremendous. So my hat goes off to Miranda and her core team, QVC, and thanks for watching and supporting, liking the posts on my Instagram and commenting. I see you guys, I know who you are, and I love you. For this free podcast that we do bi-weekly or weekly is truly a blessing and an honor to have. Pass the buck on, share this podcast with a friend who needs it, and remind them that I know what they need. They need to make some changes. And even though they're really difficult and hard to make, you need to go to and with those who you love and those who love you. Go where you are loved. Lead with that and remember that. And I'll see you guys on another episode of Wabi Sabi. Ciao for now.